Please note, views and opinions expressed in the course of this program do not represent that of WOTV. Therefore, this channel is not liable to any legal action that may result from this program.
Nigeria, Femi Falana of SAN, has said that human rights lawyer Dele Farotimi was arrested over an alleged criminal libel. Falana said Farotimi was arrested in Lagos State on Tuesday, but is demanding for him to be unconditionally released from illegal custody. I just confirmed that Mr. Dele Farotimi was arrested in Lagos today for alleged criminal libel. He said this on Tuesday in a statement. In demanding Mr. Farotimi's unconditional release from illegal custody, I wish to state without any fear of contradiction that Lagos State is among the 2 states in Nigeria that have decriminalized defamation in its entirety. In fact, the current state of the law was confirmed by the Supreme Court of Nigeria in the case of Avimo v. Commissioner of Police and Ano 2021 LPELR-55203 in bracket SC, when Helen Ogunwumiju, JSC, held that defamation was decriminalized in the Criminal Law of Lagos in 2011 and Edo State Criminal Law Bill in 2020. But police authorities are yet to officially comment on the matter. Earlier in the day, Farotimi had alleged that there were plots to silence him after he received a police invite. At the station, I was presented with a petition written by a lawyer accusing me of defamation. He wrote this on social media. Despite finding the petition baseless, I addressed its content.
Good afternoon, gentlemen of the press. This is my first rodeo. I've never had to ask to speak to you like this, especially at such close quarters. The last time I requested to speak with the press, it was in 2021 when I had credible information that there was an active murder plot against me. I spoke at the time only after I had submitted petitions to the Nigerian police under the leadership of Akim Odumosu as the police commissioner at the time. My petition was specifically addressed to his office. He is today of the Lagos State Park Services. At the time, I mentioned 3 names with specificity. Included amongst the 3 at the time is a traditional ruler in Lagos State. I did not go to social media to mention any names because my intention was not to scandalize, but to seek the due protection of the law. I equally copied this letter to the Director of State Security Services in Lagos State. These petitions were duly received, but neither were acted upon. That was in 2021. I trusted to God for my safety, and unlike many others, I refused to flee Nigeria, even in spite of the knowledge of the fact that people in very high offices were after my life. I did not go to social media. I wrote due petitions to state security services and to the Nigerian police. Duly received, names specifically mentioned, nothing was done. There were 6 persons in that meeting. I mentioned only 3 names. Now, fast forward. On the 11th of November, we received, a letter was received in my former office, my law practice, where the office I've left now, inviting me to Zone 2, Onikon. That's the Lagos and the Nigerian Police Command Zone 2 at Onikon. A letter signed by DCP, I believe Nwoga or something. The DCP signed the letter. And they were said to be on a dispute resolution or something along the line, and my attention was required. I received that letter on Monday the 11th, right?
Yes, Monday the 11th.
And I was required to come on Wednesday the 13th. I had a medical appointment that morning, a very urgent one. I shelved it. I attended Zone 2. They asked me to be there by 10 o'clock. I was there. I was there by 9:45. On getting there, I was presented with a petition written by a lawyer purporting to act for no less a person than the very best friend of our president in the Nigerian branch, Mr. Tony Elumelu, alleging that I had defamed him and cyber-stalked him. I struggled to maintain my composure because I was exceedingly provoked by the frivolity of the stupid, very stupid, self-indulgent petition. But I answered it because I was asked to write a statement. And I wrote my statement, owning each and every word that he alleged that I said in defamation of him. The IPO then took my statement and the file to see the DCP, who had signed my letter of invitation, and I was asked in. I'm giving you this background because they are all germane. Yeah. The gentleman, I believe DCP Nwoga, then said I should be given bail and I should go. And whenever they needed me, they would send for me. And I felt that this was classic police harassment. So I told the gentleman, I have written a statement in response to a clear allegation. There are no ambiguities. I have not denied what he claimed that I said. But I am saying that there is absolutely no crime. There is absolutely no crime to be found in what I had said. And what did I say? Somebody asked me on Twitter. Somebody tagged me and asked a question. The person asked if I thought Mr. Tony Elumelu might, in 2027, support a person like Peter Obi to become the president of Nigeria, just as Elon Musk had done similarly in America. And I answered, how can you possibly be asking that of Tony Elumelu? Tony Elumelu is a member of the Nigerian ruining class. A veritable member, a beneficiary of the system. Why would he fight against the system? I think then I translated the Yoruba proverb, I said that he's an impoverished rich man. That was the extent of everything I said. At best, you call that vulgar abuse. So I was actually quite irritated that a man has... I expect that someone like Tony Elumelu should be too busy to be nitpicking about what opinion anybody might have to say, whatever anybody might have to say about him. Least of all, someone like me, tiny me, who am I that I am of interest or that he cares about what I have to say? I'm admittedly a madman. I told all of you severally. So I didn't think I should be of interest to Tony Elumelu. So I was irritated and I made my irritation clear. And I told the gentleman, DCP Nwoga, if you have a charge for me, keep me in your cell. Today is Wednesday. At the latest, by Monday, you should be done drafting your charges. So keep me in your cell. When it is Monday, you would have been done with filing your charge. You can then take me to court. They didn't build your cell for goats. The people in there, they are not animals. Me, I'm not taking bail. At this point, he went up to what I now later realized was the AIG's office. Long story cut short, after some back and forth, the AIG asked us to come in because Nwoga was in, we were outside. I was outside. Nwoga. You pardon me, I don't know how to pronounce this, everything. So we were outside and we were eventually asked to come in. And it was at that point that I recognized that one lawyer. The lawyer who wrote the petition had been hanging around whilst my statement was being taken, whilst I was in the DCP's office. I didn't know who he was, but now he was in the AIG's office. And the AIG asked him, do you have the authority of Mr. Elumelu to write this petition? He said, yes, he did. So the AIG said, well, you would have to tell your client to write us himself under his own hand to ask for Mr. Farotimi's prosecution. I was incensed that he would be asking that but I could also recognize the delicacy of his position. Here is the very best friend of Mr. President who just went to France with him, demanding the prosecution of an irritant like me. Who was I? But the AIG used his discretion, and me, I'm a Yoruba boy. When somebody has tried to diffuse a situation, I accepted the way he diffused the situation. So, he asked us to go. He told the man who had been talking bail that Mr. Farotimi is not unknown to you. When you asked him to come, he came at your invitation. I'm sure if you need him again, you can always ask him to come. You will soon understand the importance of this background. Just bear with me. So, when we got back downstairs, DCP turned to me and said, come back next week, Thursday. I had things already scheduled for that day. I did not argue. I became aware that some men purporting to be policemen from the Ekiti State Police Command were in Lagos on a mission to abduct me. I believe the Ekiti State Police Command is under the Zone 2 at Onikon. I was at Onikon repeatedly, and nobody was aware of any form of interest in me by the Ekiti State Police Command, or any police formation for that matter. So at this point, knowing and being very familiar with the evil forest that we call Nigeria, because that is what we have built. So living in this evil forest, it became particularly clear that I must be very careful with my movement, because there were kidnappers on the prowl, or perhaps hired killers, because this could definitely not have been policemen. I wasn't missing, I wasn't lost, my whereabouts was not unknown. But these persons were intent on abducting me. Knowing all of this, I was forced to avoid publicizing the funeral services of my father-in-law, which took place in Ibadan last week. I had to be moving around like a prey, being hunted by persons who are meant to be paid by my taxes for my protection. Things got to a head on Friday afternoon when one of my domestic staff was about to be abducted in this same attempt at getting me. He was told that he had a parcel. But I had already raised the threat level in my household and everywhere around me. And the young man was conscious enough to avoid being abducted. But these persons abducted the security staff of a company in which my wife had as interests. And we had to strive to have this person bailed by that evening. Now, this was where it began to get interesting, because now I had to try and find out exactly what was going on. And I thank God for grace, because we must all become very clearly aware that there are times when you will be waiting to find angels with wings, but the angels that will be sent to you might not come with wings. But there have been men and women who stepped up to the plate in the last couple of days with information, and information is power. It came to my knowledge that there is a charge that had been fraudulently preferred against me before a court in Ekiti State at the instance of Chief Afe Babalola. This charge had been fraudulently preferred, hidden from view, and the court had purportedly demanded my presence multiple times, and I had failed to appear before this court. And this court had then proceeded to issue a bench warrant for my arrest. This is classic Afe Babalola. I detailed his corruptive influence in my book, Nigeria and its Criminal Justice System. And what he has done is exactly what he has always done in hiding, but he has done it this time again. And the calculations were that I would have been picked up, taken before this judge, who must have either been compromised or misled in Ekiti. And I would have been remanded in prison custody for being somebody who was meant to face trial and who had refused to bring himself to court. I am reliably informed that social media influencers had been paid to spin these narratives after my arrest. Human rights activists have been positioned to start speaking after my arrest, including one Agbaya. High offices in this country have been compromised in pursuit of my persons. High offices, from the Inspector General's office, because the police have been subverted. The Attorney General of the Federation needs to examine himself because his office has been somehow linked to this as well. I do not know if the presidency is directly involved in this, and I will not make frivolous charges. But high offices have been subverted in pursuit of a criminal purpose. I have committed no crime, done nothing wrong. If I have committed any wrong for which the state requires my attendance in a court or at a police station, they know exactly where I live. I will live only once, but I will not live cowering to any man. Let us be clear. If and when I have a charge to answer before a court, you all know where I live. I'm not hiding, and I'm not running away from anybody. Let us be very clear about that. I will never run away from Nigeria. We all have to pretend that we are in a democracy, and we have to pretend that we are citizens, and we have to pretend that we are a country ruled by law. And by all means, you will pretend that we are. I have done nothing. And if I have a charge that should be preferred against me, bring it on. I'm happy to come to court to have my day. If there is a crime, there must be justice, not only for the person who is aggrieved. There must be justice for the accused. And there must also be justice for the system. This is not how to build a rule-based system, where the system itself becomes so criminal that policemen were engaged in criminality. I was at zone 2 twice. But this, they never reported in any police station in Lagos. Never. This was a rogue operation designed to achieve a criminal purpose. Gentlemen of the press, I am a Nigerian, whats and all. I'm not different from any one of you, but I desire a better Nigeria. And in my desire for a better Nigeria, the only weapon I have employed, whilst others have picked up guns, whilst they've picked up lies, blackmail, the only weapon I have ever used is the truth. It is sufficient both as a weapon and as a defense. If you are not happy with anything I have said, whether it is the one that is busy complaining that I say that he's an impoverished rich man, or the one that is angry that I told the truth of his corruption of the society, or any one of them that are angry about what I have done, the only thing that binds all of us, and by which we are bound, is fidelity to the truth. If I have done anything wrong, drag me to court. Stop all this underhand surreptitious move, and let me be very clear. A petition is on its way to the National Judicial Commission. Let it find out exactly who this judge is. I will not dignify this fraud. I will not dignify it. I have already filed a fundamental human rights enforcement suit against all the parties, and I will submit all the necessary petitions both to the Police Service Commission and to the Judicial Service Commission. This is fraudulent and is fraud in the face of the entire nation. Thank you very much.
Cat out of the bag. I'm literally the cat that escaped the bag. You got that? But it's not the time to talk about that. We'll talk about that when the time comes to talk about that. Suffice to say that some exceedingly evil men, very powerful men, spearheaded by a man who should be preparing his conscience for his bed, his final rest. They've been out in the last 3 weeks. I don't know exactly what their intentions are, but they definitely aren't honorable or noble. I imagine that they have either a grave waiting for me somewhere, God forbid, if it's not my time, or a jail cell. But I do know that some very interesting characters have been hovering around for like 2-3 weeks, and the grace of God has kept me, and I believe it will continue to keep me. But this morning, I would like to speak to the subject, truth dies in darkness. Yeah, you heard me right. Truth dies in darkness. I've used that word, that phrase so many times over the years. It started with me, it was I think during Showore's incarceration. I spoke to the fact that talk is not cheap. A lot of a lot of people just open their gobs. They say, oh, it's just talking. Talk is cheap. Why not go to the street? Why not go and carry guns? Do this or do that. So if you merely speak to the truth of the situation around you, they considered it cheap. Although sometimes talk could be very cheap, like the one by the Alainironu Brigade, who have been answering Davido, saying that he shouldn't have spoken to the truth of our realities and should have sugarcoated it because it was on the international arena. They conveniently forget that the same people constantly tell us that the world is a global village. Everybody sees us. They know us for who we are. We're the ones who have conveniently deluded ourselves into believing that just because we've buried our heads in the sand, the whole world cannot see our fat. Our fat rump is out there for the whole world to see. They know us. They see us for who we are. The president, he was there at the G20, an opportunity to tell the world who we are, what we're capable of. But what did he do? He presented himself to the world. Beggars. You're wearing 200 million naira watches. You're wearing $200,000 watches, and you're begging for handouts. You went there with a jet bigger than that of many of the countries that you are talking to, and you're there asking for handouts. You're telling the people who knows you. They see all your hidden accounts, all of you, from governors to obas to councillors to governors. They see you. Since the beginning of the end of the old world order, since 9/11, the first thing the world does, the intelligent world, tracks money. There is no dime any one of you have anywhere in the world that they are not aware of, even the ones you have stacked up in your warehouses, and then you go to the world. They know how fantastically wealthy, rich you are. You all keep eating all over the world. And then you go pleading penury, telling them you can't feed your children. They know how you gorge on caviar, how you buy the most expensive things in the world, and then you go to them begging. I recall the anecdote from my own generation where Babangida Ibrahim went to beg Thatcher and the West for debt forgiveness. And then she pointed at his watch. He was wearing a very rare, very, very rare Rolex. What was Thatcher wearing? Probably some basic thing that didn't speak to insane gathering of wealth. But we who went begging, I will not be derailed this morning. The point I'm making is the truth might be an offense, but it is not a sin. When you are told the objective truth of your reality, assess the truth you have been told. Embrace the reality of that truth and then work to change it if you don't like it. Now, what is the truth? You see, the amazing thing about the truth is that the era of the truth knows that it is the truth, even when it is revelatory truth. So the truth really does not require much by way of definition. Me and you, we know the truth. Truth must be distinguished from facts. Facts might change. Facts might evolve. Even truth might become even evolutionary in its revelation. But the point I'm making to you is the truth does not require any definition. But if you want to take it a little deeper, the truth is God. How about that? And I'll tell you why I say the truth is God. There is an immortal nature to the truth. The truth simply is immortal. If it is true today, it is true in 1,000 years from now. Facts may change. The truth does not change. It might become revelatory, and you might find more and more layers to the same truth. That is the essential nature of truth. But Why is it that unconscionable men always hate the truth? It is the immortal nature of truth that irritates the demons in them. All men, regardless of how powerful or rich we might become, we are mere mortals, creatures in time. We will die someday, whether that be now or in 100 years' time. Each and every one of you alive and hearing me in this moment would all be dead in 100 years' time. That is just the reality of life. But the truth that I might speak today would live for an eternity, because it is simply the truth. It endures in the God Almighty, the ultimate author of the truth. So here is the thing with you demons who get irritated when I speak. I am not a saint. I am imperfect. I am completely given to my carnality like each and every one of you. But unfortunately for you, I have an incurable inability to see the truth that affects us as a people and find an inability to speak it. That's my offense. But the truth that I speak, they're not mine. They are simply the words that have been given to me to speak to you. Let me remind you, and I'll say this, I would explain this by giving you not an anecdote, but something that happened between myself and my PA. So I asked my PA, about I think a couple of years back, why do you struggle to repost my Facebook posts on the anniversary of those posts? And she went, but you've repeated them for years. I said, no, there is a reason why I do this. And I would explain the reason to each and every one of you today. Sometime, when you live in an environment as evil as the one that we have created in Nigeria, you have a duty to establish the truth. In establishing the truth, you repeat it. You say it repeatedly. In the face of the opposition to that truth, you continue to speak it. Now, if I told you something 8 years ago when I became active on Facebook, if I told you with absolute clarity that this is what you are doing and this is what would happen, and these things are happening in my lifetime and you're here to see it, and I keep saying these things to you over and over, and you continue to refuse to listen, I have a duty to stand as a witness against each and every one of the reprobates in high offices, in low offices, myself and my friend included. I have a duty to speak that truth, or I become as convicted as you all are in the evil that has overtaken us. So if the truth I speak irritate the demon in you, die. Because I ain't gonna stop until I die. But you know what? Even long after I am dead, the truths I have spoken will live. Even when my bones have turned to dust, the truths I have been given to speak, they will live. So let me be clear about something. The truth does not die in darkness. The truth cannot be killed. Even when you kill the truth teller, let us be clear about something. You see, when you bury the truth, all that you will succeed in doing is to plant a seed. If you then make the error of offering martyrdom to the truth teller, what you guarantee is your own hands, each and every one of you. When the time comes, we will speak to your evil. It's not time yet, but let me explain something to you about the nature of truth. The nature of truth is that you simply cannot kill it. I think it's the Washington Post, as its motto, democracy dies in darkness. If we were in a democracy, I'll be talking to you about democracy dying in darkness. But we're not in a democracy. We're not in a country ruled by law. We're not in a place where people understand the fact that if you do not build a rule-based society, no matter how much wealth you gather in vain. You gather in vain. The first condition of the human spirit is the demand for justice. Now, when we talk about justice, because what I'm currently going through, which I can tell you straight away, is coming from reactions to my latest book, which is centered on the judiciary. You see, the beautiful thing about the truth is this. It is sufficient both as a sword and as a defense. And the amazing thing is that when you tell the truth, every time you tell the truth in the service of the God Almighty of all creation. Whether you're a Muslim, you're a Christian, whatever you choose to believe or not believe in, the reality is that when you tell the truth, you are walking in the services of God Almighty, and He will keep you, He will watch over you, He will protect you jealously. Did you hear that? He will protect you jealously. He will do it in manners that even you will know that He is the one that is doing it. So let me tell you this, my brothers and sisters. We all have duties to tell the truth in our own space. If we are to ever have a society worthy of His name, or a country that is fit for habitation, one that we can properly bequeath to our children, we have to be guided by the truth. Now, it's not always convenient, but talk is not cheap. The truth must be spoken, and you must always keep this in mind. Now, when you speak the truth, a whole lot of people will not be happy with you. Some will be unhappy simply because, your truth collides with their illusions. Some will be unhappy because the truth you speak does not fit into the narratives that they prefer. Some will be unhappy because the truth you speak brings light into a dark place. Because as the Surat Al-Nur will tell you, when you have light, ignorance disappears. Ignorance is a weapon in the hands of those who would keep you in bondage or oppressed. And ignorance brings darkness. Every time you have heard ignorance or chaos depicted spiritually, is almost always depicted as darkness. Now, when you have a society completely overtaken by evil, such as the one in which we live, what you find is that it's not just the lies they tell us that they are looking for us to embrace, but the illusions that they build with those lies, which create alternative realities in the minds of the victims, which I've explained severally as a process of stupefaction. What we all need to understand is that the truths that have been given to us to tell represents the light that we have to shine in this dark space. If we fail to shine those lights, darkness overtakes our space. The preponderance of darkness in Nigeria is as a result of our collective inability to speak to the truth of what we see. It's not only about what Bulaba did, what a governor did. What about what you did? What about what the next man did? What about what you did that affected your neighbors? What about what the powerful man that you serve did and you helped him to do? The lies you helped him to tell, The lies, you help them to reinforce it. They're telling lies and you're helping them to repeat it, and then you're standing by it and you know these are lies. NSAS, for instance. NSAS. How many people spoke against their consciences? The last election, how many people spoke against their consciences? And you know the annoying thing? Because they were speaking against their consciences, the truth that some of us spoke, yeah, I said it. We spoke the truth. The truth that we spoke annoyed the demons in them. And because it annoyed the demons in them, they must silence me. What for? So let's be clear about something. I will not be silenced. In fact, you can't silence me anymore. See, that's the beautiful part of the day. You cannot silence me anymore. Everything I've had to say about Nigeria, when I was given the gift that God has blessed me with, the moment it was given to me to start writing, and I took on the idea that I must start writing books, a decision was taken, an instruction, I must say. There were 3 books connected to Nigeria that I had to write. Everyone in my space, my wife, my editors, my PA, my friends, every one of them will tell you I was given 3 books to write. The first should have been the imperative of the Nigerian Revolution. But I also understood that writing that book without context would make it almost impossible for you to understand the nature of the evil forest that we have built as a collective. Myself and all of us included. We built this. It's not just Tinubu, it's not just Babangida, it's not Obasanjo, it's all of us. We all made this mess, and it will take all of us to fix this mess. So I wrote, Do Not Die in Their War. Do Not Die in Their War is meant to introduce you to Nigeria, tell you the truth that you all know, but that you all lie to yourselves and pretend are not there. So I told the tales of the rot, the reality of what we have built. It's an easy read. And a year after its publication, I made it available for free to all of you, for free download. Do Not Die in Their War. Go to my website, delefarotimi.com. Download it for free. It's meant to help you begin to prepare for what was to come, and that was the imperative of the Nigerian Revolution. I made it clear to you in the imperative of the Nigerian Revolution that the only way we can get out of the mess we are in is if we acted as a collective, have common grounds and common purpose, and then walk. Because you can't do this by carrying guns. You won't. The system is happy when you carry guns. Work together to become citizens. That is what I said in the imperative of the Nigerian Revolution. I further broke it down in that book. I said we will take the electoral part, and when the system inevitably refuses to honor our rights as citizens, we should take to the streets. The reasons why that was impossible in 2023 is obvious to all of us. We could not act together as one. Simple. So, we're back where we are. The third in that trilogy is the one that is causing the katakata for some people. They want to bamba. No problem. They are not bambaing with Dele Farotimi. It's not me. If you're looking at me and you think I'm the one you are fighting, you don't kolo. In fact, all your intelligence is stupidity of the highest order. You are not fighting Dele Farotimi. Who am I? Who am I? Just like my mentor, Chiba Adebanjo, once told Abacha, 1 bullet. You don't need more than that, but God will give you do. And you and I know. Even your marabouts don't tell you. Now I know they hear. You are not fighting Dele Farotimi. Are too small. Money I not get with any one of you. I barely survive. And I thank God for his grace. I'm just a contented man. I'm not a wealthy man. I am blessed. But not be me on a fight. You are fighting God. If you don't know it before, make I tell on her. God is tired of all of your madness. Do you hear that? You are not fighting me. I don't have a God complex. That's not what I'm telling you. If you are so stupid that you can't get it into your stupid heads, whether the ones with gray hairs or the ones that are bald-headed and stupid, you're not fighting me. It's not me. Who am I? Who you be? Where you go? Who I be? What time have you take fight you? The one that has been busy running kitty kata kata from a kitty up and down the place, you want to carry me to do what? You go chop me if you carry me. When you are done carrying me, what would you do? You eat me. But before you go even catch me, you say go try. Do you understand? When I am properly required by law, I shall be there. None of honor. Let me be clear. You've hounded some people and they've taken it to exile. I'm going nowhere. Me and honor will stay here together. This is the land of my birth. I will run nowhere for any one of you. The truth is sufficient as a weapon and it is sufficient as a shield. That is God. So be clear, you're not fighting Dele Farotimi. The day I step out of line, I then employ lies in my advocacy, in my fight against your decadent system, then you have an edge. But I told you years ago, the truth is the only silver bullet by which the monster called Nigeria might be killed. Let me be clear. I will never employ lies against you. I will never ever do anything for self-aggrandizement in my fight against you, but I will defeat you. In fact, you have been defeated, each and every one of you. The truth is the one thing that you can never ever defeat. Go watch Leonidas and 300 again. You know why they could not defeat Leonidas until treachery came? It was a narrow pass. Every time you argue against the truth, you lose. And for the traitors, those who come into the public space and speak as saints, pretending to champion the people's cause, even when you have betrayed their trust. I see you, and I know you. I know your role. Yeah, I know your roles in this, but you're already defeated. Keep that in mind. And know one thing as well. As sure as God liveth, you will also receive your judgment for what you have done with this conspiracy. Now, I am constrained. I will not speak to certain things today. I am constrained. But in due course, a lot of you will understand better. Let me suffice to say that the truth does not die in darkness. The truth cannot even be covered. The truth cannot be covered. You cover it, it blots out. Truth does not die in darkness. It might be covered for a season. And then, remember what Chief Awolowo said, and I think he was paraphrasing someone as well. After the darkest night comes the glorious dawn. That glorious dawn is the truth. The dawning of the truth. But you know something? For truth to be established, it must not only be repeated over and over and over. It must be chorused. If I'm speaking and I'm the lone voice in a wilderness, hear that, lone voice in the wilderness, I must be mad. And you all must be crazy if you leave a man to stay in the wilderness speaking to himself. You must take up the chorus. The truth is useless if it is not chorused. The truth is useless if I do not hear it echoed by those with whom I live in my age. If you are not echoing the truth, then it stands in testimony as witness against you. So I urge you, in your space, speak your truth. Yeah, they will rail, but speak your truth. I'll close by sharing something that I wrote a while back. And if you have time, go to my website. You'll find it there. I titled it Play God or Play Dog. You play God. Let me start with playing dog. You play dog when you bark to attract attention to a problem. That's you playing dog. So you see a problem, you see someone having some issues, being oppressed, speak to it. That is you playing dog. You play God when you affect the situation positively. You see a person in trouble, incapable of feeding, something you can do something about. If you are able to do something about it, then do it. Play God. Maybe there is a person who is stranded on the road, you can give them a ride. Play God. Do what you can. Do you understand? Play God. Or you see another human being that you can be of assistance to, play God. Do it. That is you playing God. But in the realm of the context of our discussion today, you need to be playing dog a little more often, you know. See a problem, speak to it. Don't be quiet. Yorubas will say, "Àìlè sọ̀rọ̀ ní bẹ̀rẹ̀ orí burúkú." An inability to speak is the beginning of ruinations. Speak. Let the heavens fall if they will. When will you not die? And I see all of you telling me I'm not alone, and I'm comforted by the knowledge of your support. But trust me, speak your truth. The heavens will not fall. I'm going to see all of you next Sunday. Don't worry, God's got me. I'm doing his work. I'm probably doing his work more than some of the, let me not call them fools, who are backing away at pulpits in churches and demanding your tithe and offerings today. But I'll leave those ones and their accomplices. Because yes, the pastors and imams are complicit in the evil that has overtaken our land. They normalize it. That's their own job. Normalize it. Pray and fast, all of you. I beg. I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody. Yeah, God's got me. Just as
Please note, views and opinions expressed in the course of this program do not represent that of WOTV. Therefore, this channel is not liable to any legal action that may result from this program.